Trigger warnings: cheating, mental illness. I broke my son and his girlfriend up, and he doesn't know it was me. I broke my son and his girlfriend up. They had been dating for almost a year and seemed very happy. For backstory, my son moved out pretty soon after his biological father passed. He told me he wanted to expand on life because he was nervous he would waste it away being depressed over the passing away of someone so important to him. I understood completely and allowed him space and freedom, but we talked daily, and he visited all the time. After a while of living alone, he moved back. It was around this time that he introduced me to Kaylee. Me and Kaylee got along immediately. She lacked a mother in her life, and I think she was quick to establish that relationship with me. Off the bat, I noticed she was extremely paranoid and had extreme trust issues, but she wasn't toxic or manipulative. She was just anxious about where my son was going after work. She'd ask me, and I'd answer. He went to his friend Mike's house. They hang out to play PlayStation with each other. We both genuinely believed that my son was at Mike's house, and we had no reason to suspect he wasn't. One night, after my son came home to pick up his PS4 to hang out with Mike, Kaylee asked me to pick up some tampons and Tylenol for her. She lived close, and her periods were always super intense, so I was used to going out late into the night to help her. My son gets out of work at 4 and is usually home or at Kaylee's place by 5:30 or 6. It was 6 and he hadn't swung by to drop off his PS4, so I shot him a text before I left the house to let him know why I was gone. It was something like, "Hey, Kaylee is on her period, so I'm heading out to grab supplies. You okay?" He answered me while I was driving, and I checked it when I got to the store. It was something like, "Yeah, I'm fine. Mike needed help building a shelf he bought, so I'm staying a little later." I sent back some messages saying okay, be safe, and all of that mother stuff. But I was not ready to see Mike, working the cash register, smiling at me as soon as I walked in. I hadn't forgotten he worked here, but obviously, I figured it was his day off. I smiled back, but immediately I felt sick to my stomach. I tried to rationalize it. Maybe he means he is building it for Mike while he works. I couldn't even think straight. I just got the tampons, some snacks, and Tylenol for Kaylee and went to the register. Mike obviously started small talk with me. I am paraphrasing because my memory is bad, but it went something like this. "Hi, Mrs. Hello, Mike. How are you doing?" "I'm all right. I'm getting some supplies for my son's girlfriend." I remembered that he laughed. "Speaking of your son, I haven't seen him in a few weeks. I need him to give me the PS4 controller he borrowed. Can you tell him that?" I felt sick again. I didn't want to put my son in the spotlight, so I didn't mention the stories my son had been feeding me. I just smiled and said, "I'll let him know." I paid for my stuff and left quickly. I drove to Kaylee's house and gave her the supplies, but I didn't know what to say or how to say it. She was smiling and laughing, and she looked carefree. She asked me where my son was. I couldn't lie to her, so I answered honestly, "I don't know." I didn't know where he was or who he was with. I just told her to call him and ask. She thanked me, and I left her house. Later that night, at around 8 p.m., my son finally came home. I didn't say much to him. I just asked him if he had fun. He said yes and went to his room. I knew I had to tell Kaylee. Soon after, I went into my room and called her. I informed her of what Mike had said and how late he had gotten home. She told me that he said he was home hours ago, just tired, so he wasn't going to visit. I could tell she was crying, and I asked her if she wanted me to come over. I went to her house, and we talked about everything, and she told me she didn't want anything to do with him and wanted to break up with him immediately. I told her she could, and if she wanted, she could be honest and say I told her. After I comforted her for a few hours, she asked if she could still contact me, even if she wasn't with my son. I said yes, but honestly, I'm hesitant about it. I love her, but it feels off to me. I would still help her, though. Fast forward a few days, and my son comes crying to me, saying that Kaylee broke up with him and isn't giving him any reason. I, of course, comfort him too. He said that she needed time to think about it and would tell him why when she knew what to say, but for now, she is supposedly speechless. I was too, so I don't blame her. He cried for hours in his room and in my arms, and regardless of what he did or what I did, I comforted him. I want to tell him what I know, and I feel bad that he doesn't know. But Kaylee didn't tell him anything yet, so I might wait. Honestly, I feel stuck. This isn't just about cheating, even though I think he is. This is about trust and how he is lying to me and his girlfriend. We both know there is a possibility he isn't cheating, but he shouldn't have to lie if he has nothing to hide. I just wanted to say a few things. 1. I'm fairly new to Reddit, but I've used it a few days mostly for hobbies over the years, and I'm sorry if my updates or the post itself were written poorly. 2. I agree I should have spoken to my son about it first, but I was emotional, and I felt betrayed. 3. I won't disclose anything, but my son is probably mentally ill, and I've tried to get him therapy his whole life, but we ran into so many issues, such as money and him not enjoying his therapist. I am going to discuss therapy now that I am financially stable and I can support him in that. 4. The next update will be the last. I appreciate everyone who commented and supported me, as well as the ones who criticized me. I am not the perfect mother, I never will be, and I know I have my flaws. 5. Lastly, I am not okay with my son cheating. I may have worded it wrong, but that is because I am biting my tongue when it comes to expressing how mad, sad, and just grossed out I am. I truly don't think he realizes how much this hurts people, and I want him to be in therapy for that, too. Since he was little, he has always hurt people's feelings and never understood how it could have hurt them. Comment from OOP about Kaylee. I absolutely will stay in her life. I just hope that it won't cause any drama moving forward, and I hope my son has an explanation for his behavior. I will make an update sometime within the following days, but so far all I have found out is that my son has sometimes ignored Kaylee for days on end with no explanation. And I haven't heard of it because she is a nervous person who avoids conflict. He also wants to invite a girl over for dinner tonight, which he never does, and I find it suspicious, but I'm hoping it is his friends. As for the lying, I have messaged Mike in hopes that he knows anything about my son. Top comment from you, IDOWworkHereLady. You didn't break them up. Your son's lying did. The most important piece of missing information. Did Mike get his controller back? OOP replies to another comment from you, Goblin Goddess. Allow him space and freedom. Sorry, what? He was 19. You didn't allow that. The law did. I need to keep reading, but I already see major red flags here. All right, read it fully. You are a terrible mother for trading and loving your son for loving his girlfriend. You have no idea what your son is doing at that time. You have no idea why he is hiding it from you or her. You made your own conclusions, and instead of mothering your son, you went and teased him to his girlfriend behind his back and are now keeping it a secret from him. No wonder your son is sneaky and manipulative. He learned it from his controlling mother. I know you probably mean well, but this behavior is disgusting, and you need to self-reflect and be honest with your son. Edit, I'm honestly flabbergasted at all the comments telling this woman to go comfort some other person's child, and not telling her to stop lying to and manipulating her son. OP cannot possibly be a good parental figure until she, herself, stops lying and manipulating. For space and freedom, I meant to limit my contact if necessary, which I did the first week or so. I understood he was mourning, and from his childhood, he shuts everyone out, and I wasn't going to break his boundaries to allow myself in. I am going to post an update, but my son told me the truth today after he and his girlfriend spoke. He was indeed seeing another woman, and I told him if he was unhappy, he shouldn't cheat. I am not trading in my son, but this woman was planning on getting off the pill and selling her soul for my son, and I wasn't going to allow her to build her relationship off of a lie. My son and I spoke, and he told me her trust issues and whatnot were too much for him, and I told him I understood. His biological dad cheated on me, and I haven't brought it up to him since he passed, but I will not allow a woman to get pregnant and live a life built on lies. He told me he was still in love with her and only cheated because she was on her period, and he does it once a month. Update. I wasn't going to make an update for a few days or weeks, but I took some advice from messages I got. I just wanted to clear a few things up first. I give my son space and freedom, but I wanted him to be able to take time from me entirely if he wished. Throughout his teen years, whenever he was upset, he would ask me to leave him alone. I would oblige, but honestly, if he didn't speak to me for more than 3 days, I would just ask if he was okay. After his biological father passed away, I told him he could have a break from talking if he wanted, and I would wait for the okay to contact him. The break only lasted for maybe a week, and he wanted to call me and visit. For the actual update, Kaylee decided to give him a call. She talked things out with her sister and decided to ask him. Apparently, he was cheating, but he told her that it was because she was on her period and very sensitive to everything. He said he had done it 3 other times, all while she was on her period. She called me and told me before my son told me, but in his defense, he was busy explaining things to his girlfriend, and now Mike, who he accidentally wrapped into this. It's only 12 in the afternoon, and he wants to tell me in detail after work, which I told him was okay. He told me he was sorry for lying, and I told him it was okay, but it hurt my feelings. I didn't mean this in the post or to him, but his bio dad cheated on me, and that is why we are apart. He cheated on me before I was pregnant with my son and for the first year of our marriage. I did not want my son to think that was okay. I talked to Kaylee, and she is just head over heels for my son, and she said if he promised not to do it again, she would stay with him. I haven't told him that because that is not my business. They can talk about that. My son has sent me a few messages since about work, but he seems extremely sorry. I am a bit disappointed in him, but I think it's because of what I went through and how hard it was to be a single mother after the man you thought loved you just left. Kaylee said that she would try to be a more attentive girlfriend, which honestly stinks to hear because this is not her fault. I am not going to dictate their relationship and tell her to find someone else, but it does shock me that she can forgive. As much as I want to be mad at my son, I really can't. I've never gotten mad at him before, and I think this situation just brought me back to everything that happened when he was little. I hope my son can learn from this. Tonight when we talk, I'm going to be a little strict on him, obviously, but again, he is an adult. If he says he is going to cheat on her, I cannot stop him. I really, really hope he learns. Commentators are generally disappointed that Kaylee is willing to take him back and that he is lucky to get a second chance. A lot of people are upset that he is blaming his cheating on her period. Top comment from you divided by never give yourself up. A bit disappointed. Listen, your son has cheated on his girlfriend at least 4 times in the last year and has decided to pin the blame on her body. That is grossly unfair and abusive, and he needs to know that. The OOP then gives a final update in the comments. I am getting him into therapy as soon as I can. As for their relationship, I advised him to put it on hold because he told me that while he loves her, he wants to continue exploring his options. I want them both to be happy, but I don't know how to tell them the sad truth. I think they need to be apart, at least temporarily. One final update, replying to comments. So, who was the girl he wanted to bring around? An old friend from high school told me they talked a lot, really connected, and wanted to be friends with benefits. Apparently he wanted to explore his options, but he says he is in love with Kaylee, so I'm not sure what he is going to do. Thank you for watching the video.